Welcome, everybody, to the Industrial Insights Podcast. Today, it's Grant LeBounty and Justin Smith only. Chris is on the road. So, with a lot of our listings, we are dealing with sublease space that competes for our space, or rather, sublease space in the same size as spaces that we have for lease. And so, we thought it would be helpful to go over what's the difference and what's the tension between spaces that are available direct and spaces that are available for sublease. So Grant's been on the forefront of this and was thinking through some of the things that landlords can do to position themselves, or ways they can outcompete subleases, or some just a general insight. So I thought we would go over that together and just break that down.
Yeah, in today's market, we're dealing with the fact that we're not seeing the increases that we saw over the past 2 years. And with the downwind in our economy, we're seeing an influx of sublease space. And a lot of the sublease space that we see coming onto the market are deals that were signed in 2019, 2020, which were well under what market is today. So it's hard for some of our clients trying to compete against these groups that are 30 to 40% under what market is. So we're trying to think through what can they do to offer these groups to incentivize them to come into their listings at a market rate. I think the easiest one is you can offer them a pretty good TI package that a lot of these sublessors aren't able to do because they're obviously cash constrained if they're trying to sublease out a portion of the building or all of their building. And then another big thing is rental abatement. We can offer multiple months of free rent. Sublessors don't want to be doing that because they want to get a subtenant in there as soon as possible, paying their rent for them.
Yeah, and then you brought up a good point of rental rates today. So for anyone that signed a lease in the last 2 years, if they've decided now it's time to shed space, they have already bellied up to the bar of paying a new market rent. And so they cannot then discount their rate. And so that's an interesting point. Will we see more of that?
Yeah, so hopefully this problem of lower sublease rate won't persist for not much longer. Because like you said, if someone signed a lease in 2021, 2022, they're at market rates, and we haven't seen a big uptick in rates over the past year. So then they're going to have to market at market rates.
How much of the market do you think is sublease? If you've got a project and you're thinking through within a 5 or 10 mile radius, you think it's 10%?
Yeah, and that number is going to probably increase greatly as people are still dealing with the downturn in the economy, and that they still need to figure out how they're going to weather the storm. And that's obviously the easiest way to get through it is getting a lot of your rent off the books.
And if you're a tenant and you're looking, do you think the same tenant looks for sublease space as does for direct deals? When you think of the furniture group that's looking for excess space, or the print shop that's trying to relocate?
I think it's really out of necessity. What do they need? For a group trying to relocate, have a new headquarters, they're going to want the nice new TI package to get their office space looking up to standard for their clients that come into the building. For a group that's distribution in nature that only needs warehouse space, they're going to be looking for the cheapest option out there.
And then one other thing is taking a sublease and doing a direct deal, right? That's something that's possible out there. What are your thoughts on that, right? That is a way where you could get maybe some concessions from someone who has a space available for sublease and maybe still get a direct deal with the landlord. Are you seeing much of that out there?
I think it's a matter of necessity. Like I just said, if a group's looking only for cheap space, they're going to go with a sublease, because if they then go negotiate with the landlord for a direct deal for a 5-year term, they're going to want market rates. They're going to have to come up to it if they want to get a direct deal for the longer term with the TI package and rental abatement.
So if we sum this up, if you're a landlord and you're seeing more space come available on the market, look at how much of those are subleases, and then maybe not fret so much about them because they aren't really truly comparable or truly competing in most instances. And as a result, either stay a little more firm on your pricing, or rather be grateful for getting a deal done and having given some concessions in order to get another space off the books before more space comes on, if it does come on. That's kind of
And
two different tacks or two different ways you could think through what you learned from that.
yeah, and I think a big thing is if landlords are able and willing to allow their buildings to stay on the market vacant potentially for a couple more months, they most likely will be able to obtain their desired market rate. Because we have seen time of leasing go up greatly since the past 2 years. I remember we had many listings where we had 5 offers right when the tenant vacated. We had a group ready to go. Now we're seeing time frames closer to 4 to 6 months, which is very interesting.
This old man knows 6 months being the normal time frame. That's what it was for the
Yeah,
majority of the 20 years, I would say. So it's a trip to
yeah,
see that now.
uh,
Now 3 to 6 months seems like a long time.
yeah. I got in at a very good time when it was all hot and people were ready to lease buildings.
Yeah. The times are changing. Thank you for the insight, Grant. I hope that helps people, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys next week.